Hey guys, I want to share with you how I set up or install Jetbackup in a cPanel server. This video is tailored to root users and not cPanel users. So for cPanel users, I'm gonna create a different video in regards to managing Jetbackup backups as a cPanel user. So I highly recommend you to subscribe to the channel if you're interested with that, so that you can be notified in my future videos. So to get started, let's first go to the documentation of Jetbackup. So make sure to always go through or always check on the latest documentation. I will probably link in the description below this URL so that you can check it out, because sometimes Jetbackup do change their way of installation, or they have a lot of installation documentation. So make sure the documentation you're checking out is the WHM user documentation. So I'm gonna link this below and click on it and make sure you are redirected here, or else just Google search instead and just Google Jetbackup WHM user documentation installation. Okay, so here the system requirements, you can check it out here. But if you're following on with this free course or my video series, how to make money with websites free course, you should be good to go. So now step one is to install via SSH. This is the code. Let's just copy this. Don't copy it here, because sometimes it messed up the what do you call this, the spacing. So just copy it manually and then log into your SSH. So let me clear up my screen for a bit. So log in there and then paste the code and just hit on Y or yes if it's okay. Just hit on that. You can, by the way, pause the screen if you're confused with what I'm doing here, so that you can check out what I selected in my SSH client. So I'm using Bitfiles if you wanna ask. So here, so to continue in step 2, we need to first disable our firewall, specifically the LFD, or the config server firewall, and before we can proceed to the step 2. So if you have a firewall here, specifically the config server firewall, which is we did installed within this series. So if you're following along with this free course, you should have an installation or an available installed feature of CSF, which is Config Server Firewall. So just go through there. So maybe I'll just show you here instead. Mine, wait, let me check here. Or maybe it's probably instead just um follow this. I forgot how we can do that. Let me check the command.
A few moments later.
So the command is correct. So if you have an installed firewall by CSF or config server firewall, just follow or run this command CSF -X space -X or and hit that one, and it should show that it's already disabled. Since this is a demo server that I'm using, I have not installed here the firewall. This is specifically for the Jetbackup tutorial. So if once again, if you're following along with this series or this in the free course, you wanna disable the firewall before we can proceed to this step 2. So once it's disabled, then run the step 2 command, and then after that we can then enable the firewall again by running CSF space -E. So I'll just post this video first so that your time won't be wasted, and I'll be back after this is completed.
A few moments later.
So now it's been completed. So as said earlier, if you want to enable the firewall once back, so just run CSF space -E and just run it, and it should enable the firewall back. So the next thing is we want to go back to our WHM and just refresh it. I'm gonna hit here the logo so that I can go home to the main home. And now let's try to search Jet Backup. So now it's here. So click on the second option here. So it's a trial version. It's a trial version. So that should be fine. After 14 days, I believe you will need to purchase a license. So here I agree to those terms. So if you have an existing server and you want to copy the settings, you can select this one. But I will not go through with that in this video. I'll probably just make a separate video for that, which is a migration video tutorial for cPanel to cPanel server. So I suggest you subscribe to this channel, and so you can get notified for that video when it is available. So for this video, we're gonna select the new installation because I'm assuming this is a new installation for you. So are you sure you want to exit disaster mode? Okay, yes. Um, and for this, we want to just schedule task, set maximum concurrent task that each job type, clones, reindex. So yes, let's just select the default one. And here, destination. So we want to create a new destination first. So what I do here in my own servers is that I just use local because I have a lot of space in my personal server. But if you're using this server for shared hosting, I highly recommend you or even if it's a personal server for business, specifically for business, um, I mean, especially for business, I highly recommend you get another backup server. It is available in Contabo as well for a cheaper price. You can probably get the black storage, or I'm not sure, those HHDs, so which is different packages from the one that I recommend using for production sites or server. So you can choose the HHDs packages instead of SSDs. So you can use those. It's probably just $3 or so for the the smallest storage plan. So you can use that and then just use FTP credentials or SSH. It depends on what works for you. So usually I just use FTP and SSH because especially SSH. I use SSH because it's the most fastest way to do it. So I'll just add here the destination name, which is SSH. So I'll just clone what is the type here so that I know this is an SSH destination. So aside from that, by the way, if you're using multiple SSH type of destination, then I'll just add the host name. Let's say the host name is mauwiks, or probably backup. The host name here is backup mauwiks.xyz. So I'll just add the host name here, or maybe parenthesis. So yeah, I'll just do that. And then for the backup directory, that will be this will be the remote host name. This will be the remote host name, which is the external extra server that we will be storing the backup of this current server here that we're using. So which is this is the current user, this is our host name. So for the backup directory, this backup directory will be created in this remote server. So what I'm gonna do is to copy the host name and I will add it in the backups and the host name of the server that I am trying to back up, which is this server, this host name. So once that's done, we can then just leave this as default. The remote server is you can add your IP and the host name of the remote server, but I'll recommend you to use the IP so that you won't have any issues, um, any interrupted issues by security systems. It's just complicated, so just use the IP directly. And of course, the port, the default is 22, but if you have changed it into a custom port, then you must define it here as well. The remote username, the default is root, unless you added a wheel user in your backup storage, which for me, I don't really customize a lot, only the port for my backup storage. Password, this is the easiest way. What you If you want to use the private key, then you can do so. There's a bunch of tutorial how you can create or generate a private key from any server. Then just look for that. I, I believe I have a tutorial in my playlist SSH course. I haven't yet finished that one. I might probably work on that after this ongoing Make Money Online course, which is um, my priority for now. So the password will be here. If you decided to use the private key, I think this is the destination um, the destination directory. You will have to add the destination directory there. The connection timeout, I recommend you to type in or increase it to 300. Resync, just leave it as default and then just save it. So yeah, that's it. That should be all for the SSH method. But we will also set up a local for this, since this is the simplest way to do it. So if you don't have a budget to buy another server for your backup storage as an external way to store, which is a bit safer, just in case if your current server gets what do you call this, is down, you cannot restore, you cannot retrieve your files. So it's really recommended, if you are using your server for business, and especially when you're reselling hosting, and it's highly recommended you get another external backup server to really guarantee that um, you have access to the files even if the current server is down. So for this, let's start with local. So I'll just use local. So if you're using a remote, then you can probably use remote if you only have one remote server. But if you have a lot of remote server, then you can use your you can type here the name of the host name. Jet backups and files will be copied. So that should be it. That's how simple setting up the local um, destination will be. So just save it, and once it's saved, you want to export GB config. Okay, so the next thing I do is set up the backup jobs. So here we want to set up the backup jobs here. Let's go on and just create probably daily. This is full daily. So we select the destination, which is what we have created earlier, set up earlier, and then replicate. So accounts, directory, we want to select the accounts because we want to back up all the accounts, the cPanel accounts. Backup only emails, no, we don't want that. We want the whole structure of email that can be migrated to another server. And we also want to select incremental. Just to note that if you're not using local, if you're using probably remote servers, you won't have this option selected or available for the incremental unless you're using rsync. I'm not sure for this new version of Jetbackup. I'll probably just create another video for the remote actual tutorial, the remote storage actual tutorial, so that I can show you exactly how to do it for a remote server, setting up a remote server as well for that. So, but in this video, we're just gonna use the local for now. So, as mentioned earlier, when I use the remote server, I just select the archive here, not the compress, but the archives, because it's much more faster than the compressed one. So for the local, it will be incremental. This is the fastest way because it will just back up the changes that it has created on a daily basis. So it will not back up all over again all the files, only the ones that were changed since the day before, which because we will be backing up on a daily basis. So here, account filters, it back up all accounts, add account filter. So if we don't add an account filter, it will back up all the accounts. What I usually do is I don't back up my suspended accounts because there's no use to back them up because they are suspended, especially if you're a reseller. So let's say if you have a server, a root reseller, okay. What I'm saying is that if you own your server and you are reselling shared hosting, so not the reseller, the typical reseller that buys a reseller package. No, you are the root user. So what I do and how I set up the filters is that I create suspended filter, and so this will be disabled for suspended users. Okay, so they will be excluded for this backup. So all the suspended users will be excluded for this backup. And also we will probably go through it later on. And so this is what I do. This is my filter for my personal server, which I use for my business websites. But if ever, I highly recommend as well if If you are reselling shared hosting accounts, I highly recommend you as well to create another filter of disk space usage. So we want to disable um, users with over 50 gig or probably 5 gig storage, 5 gigs, um, 5 gig data. Yeah. So you want to actually disable the backup for users with over 5 gig data. Why? Because it will dramatically increase or overload your server just by backing up all those data with over 5 gig um, users. I mean, those users with over 5 gig data. So this is based on my experience though. Um, this is common for many other providers. They just don't actually show it or promote it. It's just hidden in their terms, which you want to do as well. You make sure you add this in your terms. You want to make sure that in the backup, make sure that the there's a statement there that you don't you're not responsible for the user's backup data. You highly suggest them to make their own backup of their website files or data in within your server, within their cPanel user, and you're not responsible if anything happens to the server. But um you're going to provide them a free or maybe paid or whatever you want, if it's paid or it's free. But in mine, I offered a free service of storage, provided that their data is only 5 gig and below. If they have a 5 gig, I mean over 5 gig data, they will have to buy a storage or a server or any other whatever service you can provide them. I believe WHMCS offer an extension. You can use that, or maybe you can just create a service manually in your backup server to do that. So as mentioned, you don't want to back up over 5 gig data, especially when you're providing shared hosting service, unless you are willing to buy um, a high-end server just to accommodate the backing up of your users' data, which is not really worth it. Um you want your users to be responsible of their backup data or their file storage or data storage whatsoever, whatever it is called, because it is very expensive to really buy or maintain a high-end server like over hundreds of thousands of RAM and CPU, especially when you're just providing a very cheap hosting. And if you're new to this, so please disable users with over 5 gig data. This is hidden from most high-end providers like GoDaddy whatsoever. Probably they don't even actually offer backup on a daily basis. So you can also just offer weekly or monthly. It depends upon you. So, but for me, based on my previous experience, I do offer free for a daily basis, but not for the users with over 5 gig data. So again, you wanna include above or equals, include below or equals. So you want to select the include below. Okay, so include below, and then just probably let's just Google the correct 5 gig to MB. So it's saying 5,000, so probably it's 5,000. So here, I'm not sure if it's 5,000, but let's probably just do that, probably just select that one. So just hit OK, and once that's done, let's say end. Or so let's say you only have a server, you only have one server which you are hosting your shared users, or which you're reselling the hosting as a shared hosting service along with your business sites hosted in it. So what you want to do to make sure that your websites with over 500 gig, let's say you want to select, you want to whitelist a few users, especially if you have provided an add-on for the storage, which has over 5 gig data within one server. So you want to add another filter for that, and create, and then just create accounts filter, and this is whitelist. You want to do this as whitelist users, and just click on include, and then just select or search the users that you want to include or whitelist for the restrictions. Okay, so that's how you do it. So list, or else probably just list if it doesn't show here, and then just select those users. Let's say you have sold an extended backup for, an enabled backup for the over 5 gig user storage. So let's say if you have a user that has 5 gigs, that has over 5 gig storage, and yet they still want the backup for their data. So let's say they already know that you don't provide free backup for them if they have over 5 gig of data in their account. So what they did is they have purchased an add-on to enable the backup to their account, which you are providing. You provided an add-on to enable that. So once they've paid you, and you can then select their account here to whitelist their account, even if it's over 5 gig. Or even if it's a suspended account, let's say suspended account, which is not really usual that they still want to back up their account, because most of the time suspended users are the users that didn't pay you or has an overdue of invoice, or maybe others also have an issue with their account. Maybe they have malwares or whatsoever. Then you don't really want to whitelist those users. So most of the time you will be using this account filter for whitelisting for those users that it's either has purchased an add-on to get your free backup, or to have a backup, I mean to retain the backup for their data. And also if you want to whitelist as well your own personal websites or business websites, so you want to select it here. So that's the use of the whitelisting of users, and then just select on OK, and yeah, that's it. So or yeah, so disable for, yeah, so you want to just do that. And what else? Directories and files to exclude. So we want also to exclude, let's say, the trash or whatsoever. And luckily in Jetbackup they already have listed the usual or common files that we want to exclude for the backup. So let's just click on the link here and go through. You will be redirected to this page, and here are the directories and files to exclude, which Jetbackup already has listed for us, which is very convenient. So you can either generic, as you can see here, you can find recommendations for files or folders to exclude. So these are the cPanel generic account files, generic users backup cache temporary files, the all-in list cPanel generic or temporary cache files. So we want to use all. So just highlight all over here and then just copy that. Amazon incremental exclude, config Amazon exclude file cPanel, Amazon exclude directory, please not exclude. This is I believe only useful for exclude file starting. If you're using an Amazon hosting, exclude directory test, I believe. So let's just probably disregard that one. And now back to our server, directories and files to exclude section. Select this or press this insert multiple and then paste all as plain text, the one that you have copied or that we have copied here, and click on OK. So here are those, and now we now can proceed to the new schedules. So this is the schedule here, daily. So we want to select daily and schedule days. Of course, we want to click on all, unless you don't want them to back up by a Saturday or Sunday whatsoever. So if you want to exclude Sunday, Saturday, just unselect them. But if you want to back up every day, then you must select all of this, not only this one, because this is only a category, I believe. So as you can see, weekly, daily, so just select all this here if you want it daily. So this is what I do. Actually, in my previous shared hosting business, I back up on a daily basis and also on a weekly basis, as well as on a monthly basis. Yeah, that's what I do. But now I would recommend you to back up on a weekly basis and on a monthly basis if you are using um if you're using one server or local storage. But if you're using, it's probably okay though to use daily. I do use daily, but I also use weekly and monthly. Currently, what I do is I do daily, but the backup retain is 7 days, which means that I can still have the 1 week, the 7 days backup. I still have that one. And then what I do is um I also set up, what do you call this, a weekly of for retain, which will make me have the backup for up to the 30 days or the 1 month backup, because it's for retain. So if we do the math, let's say retain means it's 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 the storage of each backup cycle. So let's say if you want a retain of one or only, then if we select one here, it will delete this the storage on Monday, so that it will be replaced for the Tuesday. For example, here you have a backup here. See here, if you have a backup on Sunday, to then it will have this one is the Sunday. So on Monday it will delete the Sunday and replace with Monday. But if you have a two backup here, it will not delete the Sunday and retain the two backups here, because you have selected two. It will retain two backups from the previous cycle. So once it's Tuesday, it will then delete the Sunday to replace it for Tuesday. So that's why I use 7 days, but provided only, this is only recommended if you have a high-end server. Okay, let's say if you have a lot of extra storage for your server, which is I do on my end. So you can you can use this, you can select 7 here or type 7 here, or else I would recommend you to just probably use 3 or maybe 2. Okay, and just make sure, just to know that it will delete, it will only retain the 2 previous backups. So yeah, that's it. So just click on that one, and then once that's done, this is the daily. And also, if you want to add another backup for weekly, then just do this same thing earlier. You want to have 2 or maybe 1 if you want. If you have a small storage in your server, then storage of server, then just you can probably just use 1 for the weekly and then 1 as well for the daily. Okay, so yes, that's it. And now schedule time. Select the schedule time which your target audience is not usually working. So let's say if you're targeting United States, make sure that wherever you are, find what is the right time for, I mean, when is the midnight time for your target audience. So just you need to figure it out and then select it here so that when the backup is in progress, it will not slow down their accounts or their websites while they are working on something, unless you have a high-end server. So limit accounts to backup. So here, just leave it as unlimited because you don't want to limit the accounts on a daily basis. It will just mess up your schedule actually. So just disable this as well. Job monitor, just you can actually notify me if there were no backups for, okay, so for this one, Choppers runs more than so for this one, this is a notification in case your backups has not run or has an issue and it is the service has been interrupted to create a backup. So this is based on how many times you want to back up on, I mean how many schedule that you created on a daily basis. So we only have created 1 schedule here, so this will be 2 because if the this just means that if within 24 hours or so, or beyond 24 hours, if my server didn't completed a backup cycle for all users that I have selected to be backed up, please do notify me via email. So that's just how it means. That's just what it means. Jetbackup will notify you via email if your server has not backed up as it was is as how it was set up. So yeah, that's it. So you don't want to just keep this disabled. Post job, also disable this because if you enable this, it will if your server is um, is having a high is overloading, let's say it's high on load, it will post the jet backup to process, but um, it will not help to lower down your load average here. So it's still not useful. So just disable that one. Also this data sync retries, just probably maybe we can use this 2 times. How many times retry in case of backup? So just select 2 times here and then save. So now let's proceed to, where is this, restore permission, believe permission. So for the cPanel, do this here, yes. Backup permission, view, users can restore from full backup. So if you're reseller, or if you're providing a shared hosting service as a root user, so I would recommend you to enable this full backup, so that you don't have to do this each time your user want to restore a full backup of their account. They'll just do it on their own. So the next thing is that for the restore account, user can restore full backups. So here, user can download account file backups. Just keep this disabled because you don't want to give away the user to another provider. Of course, you don't want them to easily do that, to just leave and don't pay their overdues. And here, for the user can restore account from cron job backups, and yes, you want to do that. Probably all the restore users can, yes, just give it a yes for the restore. You can restore account from, yes, because you don't want to actually manage all of that for a user. Unless you want to, though, if you have a lot of um, support agents, technical agents, technical support agents, you want to manage all of this, so you can do that. But for me as a business owner, I am using these tools, all these tools, to automate everything. Just make sure that your terms and conditions or agreements, those are stated there, that as mentioned earlier, you don't want to be responsible for the user's actions. So all of their actions must be based, or must be under their own responsibilities. User can view SSL certificate account backups. User can restore account from SSL. Yes. Certificate backups. User can restore account from DNS. Yes. User can add notes to backup. Yes. Users can download. For the downloads, you want to do this. You want to make it a no. User can download account certificate. User can download no count no no for the download no download. User can restore from full backup, yes. Download is no. User can view, yes. View. And yeah, that's it. So to simplify the idea is that you want your users, your cPanel users, to be able to access the restore feature of their account, so they can just restore on their own, so they don't need you to restore their accounts for them, but they will have to contact you if they want to download their files from your server. So this, unless you don't want to, unless you want them to just download the all the data in their accounts, and you don't care if they have they have overdue invoices. So it will be up to you, but for me, this is my setup. They will need to contact me if they want to download a backup, and then I'll just um, give them a download link. So for the WHM permission, these are the permission for your resellers. So the same thing that I did to the cPanel user, that's what I do. I don't let the reseller have access to the restore or whatsoever. They're still my clients. So in case of there are any issues in regards to the invoices or any project that we are working on, in case they want to just migrate over to another provider, I still have I can still hold their account or their data unless they have they exit from my they want to exit from my business. So I want them to make sure that they have a clean record before they do that. And apart from that as well, if you're providing a reseller hosting, make sure that your reseller clients don't have access to the files, or they do have access though when they go to the cPanel, but don't let them have access to the Jetbackup feature in WHM, because just in case that reseller will download multiple accounts, it might crash your server. So make sure that you don't let them do that. So as mentioned earlier, just disable the download and the restore. You can enable that one. Now let's proceed to the GDPR. So this is useful if you are providing a shared hosting service. So you want to enable this and just put on your user agreement. So this is the one that I've mentioned earlier. So you want to add your terms here, the agreement that hey, you can use this feature. You can back up all your data for free, provided that your account's data is not over 500 gig. I mean 5 gig of storage. We will back up only below or equal to 5 gig storage. And also you want us to you are letting us have access to your data, and make sure to accept this acknowledgement, or else if you don't, then we will not be able to provide a free backup storage for your website. So yeah, whatever else what else do you need to add here? Just do this here related to the backups, and also the privacy policy, backup destination information. So you want to let them know where is their data located. If you're using a remote server, then you can disclose to them it here, the right to be forgotten. So this is the automatically delete terminated accounts after 2 days. So for this, you don't want to do this after 2 days. Make sure to add this 90 days here. Okay, add 90 days here, so that you will still have access to the data in case a user complains that you have deleted their data. And here, GDPR backup settings. So the location is that this is the destination. So you must select the destination that you want to enable the GDPR backup job settings. Backup structure, archive, yes. It's just the same as how we set up the jobs earlier. Insert, it's the same thing. Schedule as well. Limits. Yeah, it's just the same thing, and then just save it. Okay? But in most cases, if you don't want to be compliant, which is I don't really recommend though, you can actually just disable this if you're confused about it. Probably just first read the documentation and then sign up in the forum, the cPanel forum, to communicate with other resellers if they have enabled or disabled this feature here. That would be what I would do in my case if I ever want to provide a shared hosting service ever again. But since for me, I'm just hosting my personal websites, I don't use this anymore. So let's go to the settings. Let's proceed on the settings. This settings mostly are just default. So here this is also important. You want to generate master private key if you haven't yet already, and try to also Jetpack the server is connected to Jetpack Manager console. So workplace. So Jetbackup, you try to get a copy or download a copy of your master private key through their documentation. So here, so that you can have a backup of your Jetbackup settings, which is why we have exported earlier. If you can remember here, the destination, is that the destination or the backup? Let me check here. No, it's a destination. So let's check here. So yeah, here we have enabled that one so that we can have an access to the settings in case we want to migrate to another server. So to do that, we want to go to, let's try to maybe Google master private key Jetbackup. How to get my master private key. So here, so as you can see, it is located here. So it is renamed as root.rsa. So you want to download this file. To obtain your private key, please log into your server as root and download this file. So you want to download this file from this directory. You want to download this and save it in your local computer, so that in case you are migrating, or probably when you are trying to migrate to another server, you want to download this so that you can then use the recovery tool as per what we have discussed earlier when we first start setting up the Jetbackup. There is an option there to restore from the recovery something, stuff like that. This is the one that you need, which is the code inside of this file. So you will then paste it in when you're setting up the Jetbackup in a new server. You want to paste whatever is in this file, you want to paste it in the wizard, and it will then retrieve the settings that you have already set up for the first time in your Jetbackup cPanel server, that's the reason why I cannot remember all of the settings anymore, because I just restore my JB configuration whenever I migrate or set up a new server. So yeah, that's how you do it. So if you're not familiar with how you can download this, just let me know in the comments so that I can create another video for that. But for now, we will not be going through that, since that's just it's probably just easy for you. So for the workspace directory, this is the default workspace directory. So this is where I believe System will store all the temporary files to prevent issues with performance. Move the original folder to the new destination instead of creating a new directory. Okay, so I'll probably just leave this as default here unless you want to change them, but I highly recommend you don't change this so that you won't have an issue, especially when you're migrating to a new server. So just leave it as default and kill zombie progress, delete orphan backup files in progress, 7 days. So for this 7 days, zombie process IDs. So for me, I highly recommend this to just do it once a day, and then also this older than orphan backup one as well. Delete orphan backups. Orphan backups are account backup files that are not associated with any active account. Jetbackup will auto remove the backups. So these are you want to delete within 24 hours or 1 day the suspended accounts or any backup that there is no active account anymore. Let's say it's already suspended, or maybe it's been already terminated or deleted. So if that account has an existing backup, Jet Backup will delete it within a day. Days to keep logs history, probably just 7 days. Or maybe 30 days should be fine. Manual backups to retain. So these are manual backups that the user has generated. So you want to allow it only for 1 day. It will be deleted after 24 hours if they have generated a backup. And make sure to also, all of these settings here, make sure to state this in your terms of backups related to backup section. Make sure to do that so that the user knows what will be their action. Let's say, for example, if they generated a backup and the backup will be useful for a few more days, then make sure to make them know so that they can probably just contact you so that they can download the backup on their local unit instead of storing it in your server. But since you don't want them to store a lot of backups in your server, it will be deleted within 24 hours. So if they already know that, they will then just contact you so that they can download the backup file, and then to restore it in another time. Manual backup, TTL, days to keep manual backup. How many backups? Oops, I think this is the one that I'm referring to. Sorry. The retain, by the way, is the same thing as we have created earlier related to the backup jobs. This is the remaining backup. So let's say, for example, if a user has generated a backup twice, it will delete the previous backup and store the newest one within 24 hours. So this is days to keep manual backups. Yes, this is the one that I've mentioned earlier. I was just confused. Sorry. API identification, don't have to. Stop downloads for accounts that exceed this quota. You want to enable this? Yes, but this is actually not useful anymore for us because we have disabled all the features for downloading. But in case you have enabled something, this will be useful, which is why I suggest you just leave this as yes. In case you want to enable a few downloads from the user or reseller, then at least you can still be protected in case they have exceeded their data. Performance. So this should be we can probably just leave this all as default. Let's see here. Resource. Cloud. Unlimited. Yes. Resource. Limit restore per account. Limit for one time in 24 hours. Yes. So here, you want to limit the restore per 24 hours unless a user contacts you if they will want to restore more than 1 hour. I mean more than one transaction within 24 hours. You don't want them to have a lot of restoration or restore transactions because it will heavily what do you call this, hurt your server if they have that access. It will overload your server if they have access to restore frequently their data. Destination for safety. Local safety backups retain. Want to use your safety backups. Disable. Retain, maybe just one. Same thing as one. Only cPanel, yes. Save. So once this is done, let's go to the snapshots. For the snapshots, we want to create a snapshot. So snapshots, I believe, is the full backup that we are generating. So the schedule that we have created here for the backup jobs, this will make them choose the backup job you want to use for snapshots. Snapshots, maximum snapshot per account. So this is already redundant because this we already have scheduled the snapshot or a full backup for all the users except for the blacklisted accounts. So make sure to disable this because we already have this scheduled on a daily basis. Unless you don't do this, unless you don't offer a scheduled backup, you can then just let your users manually generate a backup for themselves. So that's the time you want to enable this. And for the settings, maximum snapshot for account 1, yes, that's all fine. And yes, do this on a daily basis. And for this, by the way, I want to disable this, which is this space usage, which is maybe just let's refresh this instead and just leave it as default for the other. Yeah, that one, and save. That should be fine. And then proceed to identification. I'll just probably leave this as default here. And let's move over. Wait a bit, it's not default. Let's go back to notification, and then I'll disable the warning and just select the critical here. And for the binary, don't have to actually have to do anything around here unless you're familiar with advanced management of your server. So I'll probably leave it as is for now. So yeah, that's it. So let's go to the backup jobs. So once all of that are all good for you, you can then just run the backup if you want to manually run the backup, but it is already set to run on October 11, 2022, 12 a.m., which we have set up as our schedule. So again, it will back up all the accounts except for the suspended users, and also for the 5 gig user data, over 5 gig user data, and it will also include the whitelisted users. So yeah, that's it. So if you have other concerns or questions, please do comment down below, or else submit a thread in our community forums, which is at community.mauwiks.com. In the forum, I would be able to reply to you as soon as possible, because it will directly sent to my inbox. For the YouTube as well, but for the community forums, probably if you're watching this a year from now, or maybe years from now, we'll probably have a lot of community members in the forum, so you will have instant answers right away if I'm not around, if I'm not available, in other words. So yeah, that's it. So again, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your time, and see you in the next one.